All right, Commissioner Causey, good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Aubie. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, I know that you've got a lot going on, and we've got potentially a big event heading our way. So I wanted just to take a few minutes and see what you guys are doing and kind of what activities you've already taken in advance of the hurricane.
Well, it's a busy time. We've been quite busy getting prepared. Like you've heard many times, we're preparing for the worst, hoping for the best. And yesterday I was in Greensboro at the National Guard Armory thanking the troops that were about to deploy down east. We still don't know what's going to happen. I was disappointed that the hurricane gained strength overnight. Was hoping it would weaken. So they're getting a little pounding down around Brunswick and New Hanover counties, and we hope it'll move away quickly.
Yeah, we've heard reports of several tornadoes down in that vicinity overnight and this morning as well.
Well, we learned some hard lessons in Hurricane Florence. So we were much better prepared in Florence than we had been for previous hurricanes. And I think we're the best prepared we've ever been for this one. There were some delays in getting some of the assets and resources deployed during Florence. This time we have our staff from the Office of State Fire Marshal staged with the National Guard troops in Rockingham, Greensboro, and Youngsville, and also they've been working at the Emergency Operations Center since the beginning. So, while a lot of folks last weekend were sleeping and resting, we had people working 24/7, keeping an eye on Dorian and preparing for action. The governor has deployed the swift water rescue down east. The Office of State Fire Marshal has approved a number of fire departments, Greensboro one of them, and some of the fire departments from the western part of the state have been deployed to the east to be ready. And again, we're hoping for the best, but we're ready in the event we have flooding or damage. We'll set up the insurance camps like we did for Florence and be there to help people.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, certainly not your first rodeo in doing this, and it's probably one of those things that it's kind of a mixed bag. All this practice just means there are lots and lots of hurricanes, but it does allow you the opportunity to kind of learn from previous efforts and come up with ways to improve what's going on. I was going to ask you about the insurance camp. So is that something that you'll kind of wait and see the level of damage, whether or not those get deployed? Are you certain to deploy some insurance camps?
We will if there's any area that's a disaster area. Like we had 23 counties during Florence that were declared disaster areas, so we were in every one of those counties at one time or another. We worked side by side with FEMA. FEMA is a great resource. We encourage people to go to FEMA.gov for information on the floods and flood insurance. We're already working with other insurance companies with direct lines. We know the North Carolina Joint Underwriters they're ready. We saw them in the last hurricane work all through the weekend and many long hours during the days and weekends to get ready and help people get those claims expedited.
Now, is that the primary service that you guys provide at the insurance camps, is assistance with claims? What other services do you all offer at the insurance camps?
We teamed up with charities. We worked closely with the different charities, the Salvation Army, Samaritan's Purse, Red Cross, different church groups that were there to feed people. And when people were flooded, they didn't have most people did not have flood insurance, and many people lost everything. So they had to have food and shelter. We saw, I know down in Duplin County, we had one fire department, the Northeast Volunteer Fire Department, where 19 of the firefighters in that department lost everything they had in their houses. And most of those firefighters, in spite of their own losses, were out rescuing people and helping others right in the midst of it. And we're not in this alone. The National Association of Insurance Commissioners has reached out. I've heard already from 5 different state insurance commissioners that have offered their help. Back during Florence, the state of Oklahoma, the Department of Insurance in Oklahoma sent us 5 criminal investigators from their law enforcement team to help guard and direct traffic, whatever was needed, go after any potential scammers on these roofing scams, things like that. And they were working all up and down the coast. So, and we've done the same thing. We've sent folks to other states when they've had disasters.
Great. Commissioner, I know that flood insurance awareness has been a big initiative that you and your department have undertaken in the past year or two. You've had lots of meetings with realtors and other groups. Can you just kind of summarize how those have gone and maybe some of the impact that we may see after this event?
Yeah, be glad to. What we learned from Hurricane Florence is very few people had flood insurance. We had folks in Duplin County that lived in upscale subdivisions, for example, River Landing. You'd think with a name like River Landing, people know they're near a river and you might want to have flood insurance. And so many of these large homes were destroyed and the people's belongings were destroyed and they had no flood coverage. And I asked some of them, why didn't you have flood coverage? And the response from some people were, well, this engineer said our elevation was high enough, we shouldn't need it. But the message that I have is we're all in a flood zone. If you live in North Carolina, you're in a flood zone. It's a matter of whether you're in a high-risk flood zone or a low-risk flood zone. And as I said many times, if it rains where you live, you need flood insurance. Now,
I remember hearing that from the insurance agent a long time ago, and it certainly changed my perspective about what it means to be in a flood zone.
Now, we have worked with the Joint Underwriters Association and worked with the realtors and the insurance agents, and we've been doing insurance classes. We've had it's a 4-hour seminar. We've town hall meetings across the state, and any insurance agent or any real estate agent that attends those classes gets continuing education credits, CE credits, for going through that flood class. And we have a lady, Charlotte Hicks, that's an expert on flood insurance and floods. And at the beginning of that class, she asked the folks in the class, how many of you live in a flood zone? And not many people raised their hands. But by the end of that 4 hours, when she asked that same question, almost everybody raises their hands because they realize that any place is a potential flood area.
Yes, sir.
The other thing, Aubie, that we've done, we've been working with the North Carolina Rate Bureau, and we met with them a couple of weeks ago, and they are really making progress. We've got the forms ready, and we're hopeful that by 2020 that we'll have private flood insurance policies available in North Carolina through a number of different private insurance companies that are far superior than anything under the federal flood program. And these are going to have higher limits. They're going to be more affordable. So we're looking forward to that. But we are asking agents to encourage their policyholders to look into flood insurance. It's relatively inexpensive unless you're in a real low-lying area.
Well, we certainly think that having more option for the consumers will be good. So we certainly applaud the efforts to explore the private market options there. Commissioner, what advice do you have for insurance agents at this point, or maybe perhaps broader the overall insurance community as we look at this storm?
The number one suggestion would be to be accessible. You know, and most agents are, and I think the insurance agents for their dedication and what they go through during stormy periods where they're working long hours, working all through the weekends, late nights to help their policyholders and help get claims settled quickly and that sort of thing. I certainly want to thank all our first responders that are out there putting their lives on the line to protect us. But we just want, if somebody calls an agent at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, you don't want the agent, and you realize they're probably tired. They've worked for days and hours on end, and and they get this call, and you don't want to say, well, the office is closed now, call back tomorrow. You want to do what you can to help those policyholders. As I said, we had the joint underwriters folks working all Saturdays, Sundays, 14-hour days as these large amounts of claims were coming in every day. So being accessible is probably the main thing, and call us at the Department of Insurance. We're here to help. We have experts in all lines of insurance. We have consumer people. They're on the phones Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. And, we're here to help. So take advantage of that resource.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner. What are the key issues that you'll be looking at post-event? I know you've already mentioned that the Oklahoma department, I believe you said, had offered up and was sending some fraud investigators perhaps to help out. But I know that historically there have been issues with either fraudulent restoration companies, fraudulent repairs. There have been issues maybe with adjusters not fully understanding how the NCJUA works. What are some of the big issues that you'll be looking at from a post-event standpoint?
Well, we saw during Hurricane Florence where some of the out-of-state adjusters were not familiar with the rules and the laws in North Carolina. So I remember having to send out a directive to insurance companies to remind their adjusters, what our laws are and the protocol. It happens with every storm. You get these out-of-state people that are really out just to commit fraud. They'll drive up, go door to door, and they'll use all sorts of tactics. They'll say, hey, we happen to have a little material left over. We were doing roofing down the street, and we noticed your roof has some damage, and we can give you a goodbye. Just give us $500 down, and we'll go ahead and patch it up. And many times they'll take the money and run. They'll say, we'll come back tomorrow. You never see them again. People need to be very skeptical, especially if somebody just comes driving up to your house offering to do some work. You want to ask for references, check with the Better Business Bureau, and just don't give the money up front for work that hasn't been done.
Yeah, very good advice, Commissioner. You mentioned the directive that you had to issue regarding adjusters. I know that there's also a directive where the cancellation of policies for non-payment of premium, sometimes that's put into effect after a disaster. Is that something that you and your department will just take a look at to see how widespread the damage is and if that?
Yes.
Okay.
We will. Yeah, we're monitoring it constantly. We're looking. again, we're hoping this storm will just move on out, but we don't know what might happen. So today and tonight we'll tell the story on that.
Yeah, I guess the latest forecast, it's kind of picked up speed and is heading a little bit east as well. And I think both of those are good things. The last thing we need is to just kind of sit and spin and dump rain on us for several days like Florence did last year.
Well, the destruction in the Bahamas was massive. I mean, they don't even know the total death toll and total destruction there. So, and you know, I got a letter this morning from Lloyd's of London and Lloyd's America, you know, offering their assistance. So we've been in communication with a number of major insurance companies, and you know, they're ready to roll at a moment's notice. So I think we're in good shape. We're just hoping for the best and ask people to stay safe. And I said a little while ago, we ought to have a seminar on ladder safety. I saw where 3 people were killed falling off ladders, preparing their homes for Hurricane Dorian. And, you know, that's pretty sad when somebody dies falling off a ladder. So be extra careful and cautious. And the other thing is, when the floodwaters rise, it happens almost every time somebody thinks they can drive through that water. So if you see water over a roadway, don't try to drive through it. Turn around, don't drown, as we say.
Yeah, set the safety first, certainly. And it is so sad to see the people that end up being fatalities preparing for the storm. Commissioner, thanks again so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it. Certainly, our thoughts and prayers are with you and your team and all the first responders and everybody in the path. Any closing thoughts or any final words as we conclude here?
Well, thank you, Aubie. It's an honor and privilege for me to serve as your state insurance commissioner and state fire marshal. And as you said, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with our first responders and our farmers that have been so hard hit over the past few hurricanes. We're just hoping for the best, that they don't get further crop damage and go further in debt over this storm damage. Just ask people to, you know, stay tuned to the weather. Look at our website, ncdoi.com. We have NC Hurriclaims. That's hurry with an I, HURRI claims, nchurriclaims.com. It tells people what to do before, during, and after a storm. So when you do have a claim, if you have an issue, a problem, or just a question, give us a call and we'll get you some help.
Great. Thanks again, Commissioner. We appreciate it so much. It's great talking to you this morning, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Aubie. Good
Thanks,
luck
sir.
to you.
Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.